Hello and welcome to the Bpositive Bloodstream, a podcast providing insights, stories and experiences from and for all those affected by acute leukaemia and beyond. My name is Jonjo and I'm the founder of Bpositive and the host of the Bloodstream. I want these podcasts to provide help, inspiration and belief to all people. Bpositive is both my blood group and my adopted mantra that I held throughout my treatment. I hope you enjoy our interviews, and if you wish to get in touch with us, then please do so by emailing us at info@bpositive.org.uk, or you can find us on Twitter at b_positive_org. Hi guys, in this month's edition of the Bpositive Bloodstream, I wanted to talk about the importance of physical activity with a focus on this weekend's London Marathon in particular. Listen, the old adage, it's a marathon, not a sprint, you've all heard. Never has a truer word been said about treatment for leukemia. It is most definitely a marathon and not a sprint. It's not an illness that you get through quickly. And I'm talking from an acute leukemia. I mean, there's chronic leukemia as well, which is a lot more prolonged and a disease I believe lies dormant and people can live with for a lot longer than those with acute leukemia, but it's certainly an elongated process. And at the point of my diagnosis, I was told pretty much straight away that it's a 2-year treatment plan. So I knew I had a long time facing various hurdles, various treatment, all those things of which I've talked about on previous podcasts. But the importance of taking things as a step by step and each day at a time was rammed home to me when I was going through my treatment. And actually it's something that I advise other people when they're going through it. When I'm often asked, when I give talks and stuff about my story, what advice would you give? It is take it each day. You look too far ahead, it's positive to look far ahead because you can set yourself goals and things we've spoke about before, but taking each day as it comes means you get to get a grip on it. My chemotherapy could in many ways be seen as the training and the preparation, with my stem cell transplant actually being the big day on my race day. So I wanted to talk about the marathon. I wanted to talk about running, exercise and how much it helped me. I only ever speak about my own experience. It may not work for everyone else. You know, physical activity means different things for different people. But the London Marathon is one of my favourite days of the year in London, but just generally of the year. I mean, I think it's a fantastic day. Seeing that many people lining the streets supporting those who are running for great causes, for great reasons, it really is quite heartrending and something that I look forward to every year, just being a part of it. But yeah, so I think the intrinsic link with my treatment did have some resonance with training and preparing for undertaking a life-changing event in a marathon. So this weekend is obviously the London Marathon, and I felt it was not only a useful comparison due to the many parallels, but also I think it's a chance for me to share how I took myself from a hospital bed to crossing the finishing line in the London Marathon in 2010 and actually 2012 as well. I've managed to struggle through 2 different marathons, but I've often shared many details on here about my treatment, including my chemotherapy and my transplant in previous podcasts. So I don't want to dive into that too much. I just want to focus on how I turn my attentions to exercise and taking part in events and how that really helped me mentally. So during recovery, when I was recovering from my stem cell transplant, I was living at home with Mum. I wanted to start using my time a bit more effectively. I joined a cancer patients writing group with various other patients and stuff, and that got me out and about. And those of you who've listened to the previous podcasts and talks I've given on here will remember that I spoke about joining that group, which gave me a real sense of a bit of purpose for the day, I suppose, a bit of meaning. So this very much did the same thing. I found that I wanted to apply myself a bit more, and where I was treated in Birmingham, there's a charity called Cure Leukemia. They actually have gone on to so many bigger and better things in the last 12 years, but they were relatively new at the time. But they're the charity that are associated with the hospital, and they do some absolutely great work. But I remember they were doing a run at Sutton Park. It was a 10k run, I believe, And I used to go and chat to the guys in the charity, because when I go into the clinic I'd see them there, and I got to know them, got to be familiar with them, having gone to the hospital so regularly in Birmingham. And they told me about the run at Sutton Park. Now I was very much recovering, probably still having my afternoon naps and things that I needed then, having close attention from the doctors and stuff. But I took myself down there and decided that I would go and volunteer. It's something I'd never done, but I just thought, you know what, I want to be useful. So I drove over to the other side of Birmingham, to Sutton Park, and I was there to hand out medals at the finish line. Now, watching that 10k race, I finally felt useful again. I felt like I had a purpose, and actually doing something altruistic and charitable and in a volunteering capacity, it made me feel 10 foot tall. I felt like I was helping people in a weird way. It might have been handing out water, bananas, medals, didn't matter what it was. People were appreciative. I got to see people achieving something. And actually, I felt like I was achieving something. I'd gone home that evening feeling a real sense of achievement. I'd spoke to people, I'd met new people, which I love doing. Anyone who knows me will vouch for that. We connected with people. I was watching people run, I was patting them on the back, I was cheering them along, I was giving them their medals. It was an absolutely fantastic feeling. So I knew at that point, and this is long before I'd started talking to other patients or starting Bpositive or anything like that, I knew at that point I just wanted to chase that feeling of accomplishing something. It makes anyone feel 10 foot tall, and everything I'm saying here isn't just relevant if you've had leukemia or a serious illness or a cancer or anything. I'd urge anyone to go and hand out medals at any kind of event and just feel the warmth come over you, and just really feel how happy you feel inside, and how 10 foot tall you might feel, yet how you may feel 10 foot tall, and how you just, it really reawakens you, I think, and gives you a good sense of perspective on what's going on out there. I wanted to chase that feeling more, but I also felt that, you know what, I was getting quite envious. I've always been a sporty lad, always loved sport, and although I had never been a runner before at all, I loved fitness and all kinds of sports. So having watched people run around and giving them medals doing a 10k, I just thought, you know, I want a piece of that. I want to test myself. I think I wanted to test myself. I'd come through all this treatment. I'd had 2 years of treatment, intense chemo and things, a stem cell transplant, been on death's door and managed to get myself through it and come out the other side. And as I've spoke before, I felt quite lost in that period. So just by going to these events and doing things, it started making me realise things I might want to do. But I certainly wanted to go and chase something again. I wanted to have that. I think I felt not abandoned, but you become everyone's attention when you're a patient, all your family, all your friends. You're the centre of all conversations because you've got cancer, certainly when you're 23, and it's quite unusual to be dealing with that at that age. So when I come out the other end and suddenly not everyone's talking anymore, I think I probably craved a bit of like, well, I actually want to achieve something now. It wasn't attention. I just wanted to feel something good in myself. I wanted to feel positive. I wasn't ready for work yet, so I couldn't progress with that. But I knew I wanted to chase something for myself. So this all gave me the urge to start getting fit myself. Now, due to the intensity of my bone marrow transplant, I was starting from probably below scratch. Energy levels were below zero due to the treatment. So I slowly knew I had to build myself up. And my first step forward was actually a really small jog. I'd been in West London for the weekend, down in London, and I took myself out for just a jog on a Sunday or something. And I might have gone a mile or two, a mile and a half, maybe two, but it was at an incredibly slow pace. But I came back feeling elated. I felt like this is the first time I've done something like this. And I just wanted more. It sounds daft, that I had a sense of achievement from that. I'd only run around the block a couple of times, but I just wanted more, and I could not wait to get out and do it again. I felt that sense of achievement. It made me feel elated. It doesn't matter what the limits are. It really doesn't matter what it is. Listen, it means something different to everyone. Walking the dog could be your marathon, you know. Going to walk around the park once, it means different things. Whatever your limit is, whatever your goal, just test yourself and put it out there. Don't have to be running marathons, 10Ks, half marathon, anything like that. It could be cycling to the shop, it could be anything like that. But I found that getting out and exercising really helped me. It really helped me naturally physically, you know, made me feel good. But absolutely helped me mentally, for me at least. And it's something I still hold on to. I still love my runs, still stay fit, stay healthy. I love that feeling of achievement. I love chasing things. And that stuck with me ever since then, and we're probably talking 10 years ago now. So I'd been doing some work at a local gym in my hometown of Bromsgrove, and I had a free membership as way of payment for doing some design work for them. So I felt like I was slowly starting to condition myself, started on some weights, started using the treadmill, started getting myself slowly back to some improved level of fitness. But that first jog in London had me absolutely gasping for more. I saw the annual Bromsgrove 10K was coming up. Now, Bromsgrove has got a great affinity with leukemia, specifically, well, they were called Leukemia and Lymphoma Research then, actually formerly Leukemia Research, but now you may know them as Bloodwise, an absolutely incredible charity, of which I owe a great deal of gratitude to. I mean, they were the ones who nominated me to carry the Olympic torch. I'm sure I bored you with that story, but if not, I will do for another podcast, because I always like any excuse to wheel that out. But that charity's got a great presence in Bromsgrove, particularly because the person who runs the Bromsgrove branch of it has been affected by leukemia herself. Her son died of leukemia when he was young, so ever since then that's been like the nominated charity for the town almost, with a regular fun run, but it's a 10k run. They do various other events, bikeathons and stuff, but the 10k Bromsgrove run has always been for Bloodwise, as they are now, Leukemia and Lymphoma Research. So I knew of them, and when this run came up, it got my ears pricked up a little bit, and I'd only run around the block a few times really. Now the owner of the gym where I'd been doing some work, he knew a little of the treatment I'd had. I hadn't told him too much. I mean, we weren't on great terms. I was just doing a bit of work for him, but he said something that stuck with me. When I mentioned, just in conversation, because he knew about the run, I think he's helped out volunteer and stuff, and it donates prizes, I believe, which is great. Membership for the gym and things like that as prizes. I'd mentioned that I'd fancied doing it, and he said he didn't think I'd be able to cope with a 10k, and was trying to convince me just do the 5k. I can't tell you what that fueled inside me. Someone telling me after everything I've gone through I can't do something. I wasn't having it, not a chance. I knew, yes, it would be tough, but I knew 5k wasn't enough, and that I knew myself that if I did a few weeks running, I'll get myself up and I'll push myself and get that 10k. I will not be told I can't do something. That's part of my personality. Get the defences up probably, but and perhaps it's a competitive nature, but only competitive with myself. I wanted to better myself. I wanted to chase that sense of achievement I told you about. So I took great delight in telling him, no, I am doing that 10k actually. I've signed up for it. So I signed up for it. And this event marked the first time I'd actually raised money for charity, which then was the start of me sort of doing quite a bit of fundraising, specifically for Leukemia and Lymphoma Research. So as I said, Bromsgrove had such a strong connection. The event was there. It felt like a perfect storm, really. When the event came round, I ran it with my brother and a couple of friends. I'd probably trained up to around 4 miles, so a 10k is just over 6. So I got myself up to 4 miles. I think I wouldn't have gone much beyond that with my capability, and I thought I'd save a couple for the big day. I can't describe the elation in completing the event. It felt amazing. Now, the elation I felt having done a little jog pushed me on to achieving this. There's big celebrations afterwards. I think I had raised money, sorry. But we'd made quite a big thing of it. My brother ran it. We were all decked out in the gear, or the charity gear. I finished under an hour, which was my goal, to try and get under an hour. Again, that only mattered to me, doesn't matter to anyone else. But I'm quite competitive with myself. I knew where I wanted to set my sights. And I mean, a few weeks earlier I'd been handing out medals, and now I was collecting one. It just felt brilliant. It got me wanting more. It got me chomping at the bit to achieve more. I felt great. I had a great celebration with friends. I got that buzz. I felt 10 foot tall again, and I really felt like I was onto something. I felt capable, and I think that meant a lot to me. I felt capable of something. I'd had my life stopped in my tracks at 23 when my life was halted with a life-threatening illness in leukemia. And I'd watched my friends all gone on to first jobs outside of university, earning well, down in London, having all these experiences, going travelling, doing all these things. I had all that on hold, which I'm not cueing the violins. I've gone on and done a lot of that since. But at the time, things like these runs just meant a lot more to me, and they meant a great deal. I felt capable, and I had such belief in myself for the first time since my treatment, and I really felt I must have been lacking that. So to have done that 10k felt absolutely fantastic. I think the run signified that actually I was back. I remember talking about a moment of clarity and a moment of a milestone almost was when I was travelling and sat on a waterfall overlooking some rice fields in Thailand. That was amazing. But this was way before then. And this run signified that I was actually back. I was back to being someone on a par with others rather than being a cancer patient. Everyone's running on that road for the 10k the same. Everyone's got their own stories, their own issues, their own path in life. You're all equal. And it's the same with the London Marathon. I always find that all these celebrities do it and they get all this precedent, but everyone's the same. Everyone's got to run the same distance and set their own goals. So I set myself a goal and I achieved it, and I knew I wanted more. So I did get more. I started thinking, what's next? Do you know what? I want the half marathon. I mean, even the word marathon scared me. To do half of a marathon was like, geez, this is absolutely crazy. Well, where I got tempted for it was my best friend Brad had ran the Great North Run somewhere around 2008, I think, 2008, 2009. I think it might have been 2008, and I did it in 9. But he'd run it, and he wrote my name across his jersey. He did it for leukemia and lymphoma research. He'd raised a load of money, and we went up to Newcastle in the Great North. I think it's the world's biggest half marathon, 50,000 runners or something like that. And I'd gone to cheer him on doing it. I can't actually remember whether this was before or after I'd done my 10k. It may have been after. But I knew that the next year I wanted to get on this. I absolutely wanted to be a part of this. I'd watched Bradley do it for me, raise money, as his way of giving back, his way of showing his support for me, of which him and all my friends had done in terms of supporting me. But it was great to be part of an event. We had a great weekend up there, and it was fantastic to be a part of something. So I decided I wanted to do that. So I did, and I trained very hard, and once again set myself a goal of trying to get in under 2 hours. My brother was again part of my little team who ran it, along with one of my other best friends, James. He came and ran it too, and a friend of my brother's as well joined us. So there's 4 of us going to do it, and do you know what was really positive and what really helps? Of course the event is brilliant, the day is amazing, but it's like the red carpet of a premiere. All the hard work's done before that. So you have to enjoy the training, I think. And I do enjoy the training. I still do enjoy it. But I did then. I had my struggles. I mean, I was dealing with various demons going on. Post-treatment rather. Still coming to terms with my life and felt frustrated at things. I wasn't excelling enough. I wasn't doing this, that and the other. So I had various things going on that were frustrating me. But running was something I could focus on. And go for those runs in the evening was fantastic. And clocking up the miles, again achieving, now I'd surpassed this 6 mile, I had to get to 13.2 miles. So we had a plan to get to around 11 miles or something like that in our training, and we did it over periods, and then the big day came and we all went up there for a weekend, and we did it, and it was excruciatingly hard. I remember at the time, it was very, very, very hot weather. Sting had set us off with the gun. He'd fired the gun to let all the starters off. I gave him a high five as we left. For anyone who enjoys running and likes doing events, I would recommend the Great North Run. Absolutely insane. But I got in under 2 hours, which was my target, and I was extremely pleased with that. And yeah, it was absolutely fantastic. Once again, I'd achieved something. I'd taken what I'd learned up to this point, and I'd been able to focus my mind. I mean, an interesting story was that as soon as we set off from the start line, my brother had raced on ahead. He'd barely done any training, been so busy, and he just raced on ahead. So I'd actually never ran on my own properly like that. I'd always done training with my brother up to this point. It was my second major run, and he was just faster than me, and he'd gone ahead. And so after about 100 metres, I had the whole race to do on my own, which was new. But again, what do? You dig in deep, and you and you get through it and you go for it. And that is the same for your treatment. I know it sounds like an easy link to make, but it's absolutely true. They say for any training, for any marathons you may have done, they'll teach you lessons, and you'll learn things in training for marathons that will stay with you for the rest of your life. And that's the same for the treatment. I knew when the going got tough through my running, I could tap into when the going got tough for my treatment, and I could tap into that and make sure that I persevere, I don't give up, and that the end's in reach. Because I actually remember when I was going through my treatment, making a comparison, I would give anything to not go through this cancer treatment. I would run non-stop to Australia, thinking that that would be, you know, a better option. Obviously it's an impossible option, but I was so desperate not to be going through what I was going through at the time. So you take on a lot of lessons, and anyone to come through and to go through treatment, and I include carers and friends and family in that. It's not just the patient, everyone goes on the journey. The psychological impact on the patient will be different to everyone else, but a lot of people take on that diagnosis and they need inner strength as well. And that can't be underestimated. And when you're putting your attention to running or setting yourself goals or doing any kind of challenge, listen, it could be something at work, it could be persevering with a project, it could be anything, it could be making something at home, it could be anything. If you can tap into the experience you've had when going through a cancer treatment, then it will stay with you and it will help you get through and make you cross the finish line. Absolutely certain of that. I'm a big advocate of that. So I'd done the Great Enough Run. I'd got under 2 hours, absolutely amazing. And so I don't want to talk too much about the details of the marathon and things like that. I just, my next step was to sign up for the London Marathon and once again raise money for leukemia and lymphoma research, which I did. I had these plans, I had a training plan to run it in, I think I wanted to get under 4.5 or around 4.5. I struggled a lot on the day. I got in just under 5. It's amazing how your ambitions change when you're on that run. But I realised that I was going to miss out on my target. I was just struggling on the day, but just with fatigue, trained so much, and just couldn't quite get to where I wanted to get. Which, listen, that sort of thing eats me up. I'm quite competitive with myself. I've since done it again in 2012, the Olympic year, and once again struggled. I'd expected a better time. I trained far better that time. This isn't just a load of excuses, by the way, but I developed a chest infection the week of the marathon, and I didn't take any advice from a doctor because I'd raised over $3,000 or something, and I knew that they were going to tell me not to do it if I went to them, so I did it anyway. I was telling myself it was just a cough and it would be fine. When actually it turned into, well, it was a chest infection. And running that marathon was absolutely hell. I don't mind sharing. A mile in, I knew I was up against it. And listen, I'd done training up to maybe 20 miles to prepare for it. I was running really well, as fast as I'd ever done. I had sub 4.5 in mind, and I was confident I was going to get it. I just did not have it in me. I was sapped of energy after a couple of miles. I knew I had friends waiting for me at mile 11. That was my goal, to get there. And then when you get to Tower Bridge, roughly halfway, it's probably 12 miles in, I kind of just finished then, and I was like, my legs, I had nothing. So this is where I felt like this during my treatment. I felt like I had nothing to give at some points, and I needed people around me to lift me, support me, and pick me up, which they did. They did incredibly. That's the same on the marathon. When I was struggling on my marathon, both times, I needed something to persevere. I didn't quit, I carried on. I ground to a halt on the second one. The first run I didn't stop once. I was running for 4 hours 58, I think, non-stop. Persevered. My body was getting the better of me on the second marathon in 2012, purely because I wasn't well, and I was having to walk the rest of the way. So I did that all for the second half. I was in tears, I was in bits, I was angry, frustrated that I'd missed my time, that I wasn't going to get anywhere near. All that training felt like it had gone to waste. It hadn't. It never does. It's your own run. It's your own path on the tarmac. You make your own time. The time doesn't matter to anyone else but yourself. I know that now, but it doesn't stop me wanting more. And look, there'll be another time I hope to do the hat trick and actually do it right without getting ill, and to do it on to the time I want. But I love it, and the reason I want to do it is because it means so much to me. But when I was really struggling, I knew I had to persevere. And I took those lessons. I knew who I was running for, myself, but I also knew that I'd got here and I was lucky to be here. And I will dig in and I will make sure I not stop. Every part of me wanted to stop and jump over the barrier and finish it. I felt mildly embarrassed that I wasn't going to get the time I wanted. That doesn't matter to anyone but yourself. But I just wanted it to end. I wanted it to end. But something made me not stop. Because The goal is to cross the finish line in any way you can at a marathon. Now, that's what I did. I wanted that medal. And actually, I mean, the bizarre thing was I actually got in a few minutes faster than I'd done it the year before, I believe, or a couple of minutes faster. So I'd actually got a personal best, despite having to walk half of it. So I'd done all the training right, but but look, that's by the by. There's lessons learned, and I knew that I had to dig deep. And everything about your treatment, it's long. It is a marathon, it's not a sprint. You can't rush it. The lessons you learn on a marathon, as I said, stay with you for life. You go through so much training, it takes over your life, takes over your thoughts. So does cancer. So does a marathon. Okay? Listen, one's obviously nowhere near as severe. One is an opt-in, opt-out situation. The cancer obviously isn't. But in my situation, having been affected by that, having come through that, it actually would probably help inspire others to have done that. So if I was lying on a treatment table, as I was, and I got to speak to someone who'd not only got through the treatment, got through the transplant, come out the other end, but he's now running marathons, I'd think, I want that, I want to be that guy. So these thoughts stuck with me. And actually similar thoughts were passed my way during treatment. People would say, listen, you can help others going forward, your story will matter. So there's a lot of parallels and a lot of similarities. But I've done 2 marathons. I won a third, I definitely won a third. And perhaps I'll just fabricate my own marathon and just run from the hospital I had chemo on to the hospital I had my transplant. I've discussed that before. I thought about that before, from Worcester to Birmingham. But whenever I have challenges and whenever I've gone on long cycle rides, I obviously cycled to Germany to meet my donor thing. Whenever the going gets tough, you dig deep. I cycled London to Brighton with Bradley, actually, my friend, last summer for the British Heart Foundation, and it was incredibly tough. It's incredibly tough, and getting up that hill at the end is tough, but you dive in deep. Something makes you not want to quit, and it's all the lessons I've learned in training for marathons, and also the similar lessons I learned throughout my treatment, taking it a day at a time, putting in the work to get yourself through a situation. And when you've come through something like that, you've got every right to push yourself further if you want to, and that's what I wanted to do. And a massive testament to the support and the network I've had around me. Having set up Bpositive, I've now had people run marathons for my charity, raise money, putting themselves through the pain, through all the training to push themselves, to set themselves goals. We've had people do skydives and things like that. We've got people currently running at the moment, doing events for us, fundraising for us, all pushing themselves for the greater good. And I absolutely take my hat off to anyone who does that. I know what it's like to go through the struggles. So it fills me with immense pride that people have done that for Bpositive and are sacrificing their time and their energy and their efforts and setting their ambitions and raising money for Bpositive. It's absolutely amazing. I want to wish everyone good luck who's running on Sunday. It is the most amazing day. It's amazing as a spectator, as I've said. With you, and listen, there's so many volunteers there. You're handing out waters, people handing out bananas, people handing out medals, there's people cheering points for all the charities. Something that always chokes me up is seeing the messages people run for. You know, it's an emotional day for a lot of people, but it is just a day of happiness and celebration. And I'd urge anyone who's maybe come out of treatment recently to get yourself to a local event, to hand out medals, just see how it feels. It feels amazing, and you can be a part of something really special. For me, running the marathon felt like I was joining the club, and that's what you do, you join the club. You only have to do it once if you choose to do it. But for me, it was a moment of reflection and a significant milestone in my life. And listen, it's a milestone for anyone who achieves such a feat. It's an incredible achievement. But for me, it probably meant, well, I wouldn't say it meant more, but it certainly meant more than just doing a run for me. It kind of meant that I was actually come out of treatment and I'm pushing myself onto greater things and chasing that feeling of accomplishment. So I hope everyone who is running the London Marathon enjoys it Sunday. I wish you all the very best of luck, especially to my sister-in-law Sarah, who I know has been training for this, and we're going to be there cheering her on. It's amazing. It's your day, it's your race. Take it in as much as you can. The experience is the first marathon you do. It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience. It's the most amazing day, and the experience you go through and all that you learn through the training will absolutely stay with you for the rest of your life. So good luck to everyone.